Hey, welcome back, everybody, to a very special episode of the Educational AD Podcast. We're going to be right back with today's guest, but first, as always, we're going to give a shout out to our sponsors. Now, you've heard me say before, these are all great companies. You should have them working for you. So take 3 minutes, listen to our shout outs, then listen to our interview today, then go and visit these sponsors, because I'm telling you, you're going to be glad you did. Here we go. We want to say thanks to our good friends at Sideline Interactive Indoor Score Tables and Video Boards. Go to sidelineinteractive.com and schedule a live web demo to see their products in action. Probably one of the best purchases I ever made. Go to sidelineinteractive.com. Schedule that live web demo today. We also want to thank Huddle. As a football coach, I used Huddle for years. As an AD, we were a Huddle school, and our coaches, our student athletes, even our parents just loved the tools. Go to huddle.com. Join the millions of users. Turn your school into a Huddle school. That's huddle.com. We also want to say thanks to Home Campus. Scheduling, rosters, results. Home Campus does all of these things and more. Does it better, does it faster than the other platforms. Facility management, athletic eligibility, and clearance, those two alone are game changers. Go to homecampus.com and find out all the things that they can do for you and your program. We also want to thank Vital Signs Wall of Fame and their content service program, Beacon Creative. Now, Wall of Fame has been helping schools bring their legacy to life for over a decade, but their content creation program takes it to a whole new level. They're going to take your history, your stories, your coaches, your kids, and create compelling narratives that you can post on social media. You got to see it to believe it. Go to vitalsignswalloffame.com. Click on Content Services, and don't forget to tell them you heard about it on the Educational AD Podcast. We also want to say thanks to Gipper. Gipper is the modern marketing platform that makes it easy for your athletic department to look like it's Division I, look like it's professional. Gipper is used and trusted by over 20,000 high school and college programs. Go to Gipper.com. See why they're rated #1 for athletics marketing. That's Gipper.com. We also want to thank Booster Hub, the #1 Booster Club software program. If you do Booster signups, you also have Booster cancellations. You know it's going to happen. If you have Booster Hub, everything flows through their secure system. Nothing falls through the cracks, and everybody stays connected. Sponsorship sales, concession fees, everything is handled by Booster Hub. Give your boosters the platform they need. Give them the platform they deserve, and that platform is Booster Hub. We also want to thank Ohio University and their online masters in athletic administration. Now, I didn't get my master's through the Ohio program, but guess what? My assistant athletic director did, along with thousands of others, and it was a great experience. Very affordable. It's rated #1. Check out Ohio University and their online masters in athletic administration. Let's also say thank you to Hometown. Hometown's suite of solutions continues to be a leader in education-based athletics with, digital ticketing, of course, but how about fee-free fundraising through School Funder, athletic website construction? The Hometown menu just goes on and on. Whether you're a principal, an athletic director, even a head coach, Hometown is going to show you how to save time, how to raise more money, and how to bring your community together. You're going to find it all at hometown.com. And finally, let's say thanks to Athletic Surveys by LifeTrack. If you're not using a survey to take the pulse of your student athletes, your coaches, your parents, you're really missing out. Go to athleticsurveys.com and don't forget to tell them you heard about it on the Educational AD Podcast. Welcome back, everybody, to a very special episode of the Educational AD Podcast. Longtime listeners will certainly recognize our guest, Scott Battas. He is the Director of Athletics at Mascoutah High School. He's a certified master athletic administrator, very active at the state and the national level, and he's really become recognized as a leader in a couple of areas, one of those being how to put together a quality student-athlete leadership team. And this is going to be the first of a series of episodes where we have Scott on to take you as an athletic director through that process. I was just sharing with Scott. I heard it at our state conference just a couple of weeks ago here in Florida from a number of athletic directors. When the topic of a student athlete leadership team came up, their response was, boy, I wish I knew how to do that. I wish there was a guide. Well, guess what? Here we go. We've got one of the best in the NIAAA to take you through the process that he's used to really create a great student athlete leadership team. So, Scott, welcome back to the podcast. Thanks for doing this. I'm going to step out of the way. What do you have for our listeners in episode 1 of Student Athlete Leadership Team 101?
Sure. Well, thanks again for having me, Jake. It's always fun to talk, and I know there's a lot of athletic directors listening, as I always have, and certainly when it comes to leading an athletic program, we all know that we beg, borrow, and steal just like a coach would to lead a successful program, and it's no different in this role. One of the things I always wanted to do was figure out a foundational piece for our athletic program to kind of hang its hat on, and for something not only for me to look forward to on a regular basis, but our kids to look forward to something regularly that helps them not only lead within their programs, but to lead themselves. And I think that's important. And so our leadership program in Mascoutah is something that has evolved over time. One of my great friends, PJ Fleck, always talks about failing as growth. And I truly believe that. And I think some of my failed efforts to establish a leadership program, an effective one, have led to what I feel like is a pretty good foundational program for our student athletes. And I'll start by saying this. I think when you talk about leadership within your programs, it all evolves from the culture that you want to establish. I think that's very important. And the main point that I can always make about culture is that it's created. It's not something that you arrive at a place and it just establishes itself. It's something that the leader has to establish as a priority within your programs. And I think there's no better way to do that than to get your student athletes in one place, hearing about those topics that are effectively going to allow them to lead themselves and be leaders within their programs. What we focus on at Mascoutah is really 3 different areas of leadership within these meetings. And I will tell you that we'll always discuss a critical topic. Okay. We'll always have tools available for our kids to apply to their programs. And then we'll always make them critically think at the end with some type of question that they have to answer about themselves or their team to take with them. And I don't necessarily always collect those answers. I promote thinking, I feel like, by having them write things down. And I think studies have shown that when you write things down, you're several times more likely to remember them. So I think that's a key component to your leadership program is, are you just talking and they're just listening, or are you talking and they are maintaining that information? Okay, so we'll take you through over the next, several episodes about different things that we talk about, methods that we feel like have worked, some methods that we feel like maybe weren't as effective, and try to slowly work to a template that you can have to basically establish a regimen that's effective for your entire athletic program. The most important thing. Go ahead, Jake. You got a question?
No, I was just, I find it fascinating. I always felt, and I'm not trying to pat myself on the back, I guess I kind of asked myself the question, writing down notes, taking notes, whether it's, academic or professional development versus typing them out on a keyboard. And I just recently, I saw some study that overwhelmingly said that writing things out was far more effective than typing them out. So for all that current generation that has their, tablets and keyboards and things, hey, maybe pick up a pencil or pen and write something down.
Yeah, it's a great point. And I know from experience, and that helps me a lot when I write things down. My monthly calendar to this day that I write out, or my to-do list for the week, is always handwritten. I have a template that I follow and I write it down by hand. And that's just, it's certainly a effective tool for me, and not everybody's the same. But we do think these things are important when we're talking leadership within our programs and methods to success. And so, I think the first component to developing an effective leadership group is, who do we invite to that group? Who's welcome? And I think when you talk about old school leadership programs, Typically, it revolves around captains, and I mean that's a big word in athletics, and a title that certainly should be taken very seriously. My coaches will tell you that I'm not a huge fan of yearly annual captains. It's not something that I love within our programs. I prefer one of two things: either no captains and shared leadership, or a weekly captains for the simple fact that kids have to continue to earn that. It could be the same kid every week, but kids could continue to earn that title and maintain it as they continue to be productive leaders within the program. Also, it's much harder to get rid of somebody that you've termed a title from someone that you've permanently named a captain when they maybe don't deserve it after you get to a midpoint in the season, and which we find in high school kids. And the thing that's your job as a leader is to make sure that kids understand that not everyone is capable of leading, and that's okay. While they may not be able to be leaders by title within their program, we're still going to continue to give them tools, because I feel like I said, culture is created, so is leadership. I don't think necessarily people are always born leaders. However, some are born with some traits that put them in position to be more effective leaders. I think that you can certainly develop leaders out of kids that truly want to impact their programs in a meaningful way. And so for our leadership program, let's talk about who we invite. Our leadership program is open to every single student athlete in our school. We meet every other Wednesday from 7 to 7:30 a.m. before school. The first bell rings at 7:35 to start that first class, first hour. We invite everyone. And the reason we invite everyone is because I think it's very challenging for a coach to establish captains in a team or in a program, or establish leadership roles without growing with those kids during the season. And so I think what we're able to do is take any kid that's willing to listen, come into our program, come into our meetings, have hopefully a valuable experience, and then take those components back to the program. And let's find out which kids are able to implement those things into their program where other kids respect how they do it. And I think ultimately that's what our leadership program gives us, is tools for everyone, not just a handful of people, one or two kids out of each program, anybody that's willing to come. And on the flip side of that, we really find out how important it is to kids that maybe we thought were leaders that aren't showing up to these leadership programs. So one requirement I do have with our captains within our programs is they must show up. If they're a captain within your program, they have to show up. And if they're absent, it has to be a valid excuse, just as if they were absent from school. So we do establish that within our programs with our coaches, and our coaches do a really good job of making sure that's the case. So I will tell you that every other week we average about between 75 and 105 kids at our leadership meetings, and we're very blessed. And I think that most kids would tell you that they have a really good experience in those meetings, and some certainly will not. They're there because they feel like they have to be, but you're never going to affect everyone the same way. And it's my hope. Our very last meeting this year, I told our kids this. I said, here's the thing for me. If you were able to take one thing away from coming to all of these meetings throughout the year, I feel like all of these efforts putting together this leadership program have been a success. Because if every single kid in that room took one thing with them, that's over 100 things that kids are taking with them and implementing them into their programs within their day. I think it's important that we give kids tangible things that they can assess their own behaviors and their own efforts at the end of the day with what we give them. And I think that that's what you'll find our kids take from them in these programs. And we've also found out that our kids are very different, and some of the things we talk about affect programs and kids very differently, just as our sports programs are very different. And every single activity has a different set of tools that help make that program successful. So we try to make sure that we have something for everybody, and that's basically how we start from the ground level with how we're going to teach our leadership program throughout the year.
Well, you probably saw me scribbling down notes, and really appreciate you taking the time to put this series together. And what a great way to kick it off. Your three foundational principles sounds like a great roadmap for our athletic directors. And once again, for listeners, we're going to do this just about every week. Scott's going to come on and literally walk you and me through the process that he's used at Mascoutah to put together his student leadership program. You and I have talked about this before. I love the philosophy, and I shared it about captains. We just can't, or we shouldn't just automatically say, oh, you're a senior, you're a captain, go lead the team, because, not everybody is cut out to, be a quarterback, to be an offensive lineman or to be a captain. We need to hopefully, as you said, give them some tools. Like I said, this is going to be a weekly series, but if one of our listeners wanted to reach out a little bit extra and pick your brain, what's the best way that they can get a hold of Scott Battas?
Yeah, obviously, email is the best way. If you have interest in anything we're doing, you can reach out to me at Battas S, so my last name with an extra S, at msd19.org. That's MSD from Mascoutah School District 19.org. And I'm very, very glad to help. Like I said, if it wasn't for people that returned emails from me or answered calls, I wouldn't be in the position I'm in. So very blessed to have a lot of mentors and resourceful people in this profession. And I hope that I can be that resource for the end of my career here for people that are just getting in.
Oh, absolutely. And for listeners, Scott's information is also available through the NIAAA membership portal. He's active on social media, does a great job in the two of the Facebook athletic director group. So, make sure you're following Scott Battas. Scott, thanks again for taking time out of your busy schedule to share with our listeners. All the best, and looking forward to the next episode in this series.
You bet. Thanks, Jake.
For listeners, remember, we upload the Zoom recordings of every one of these interviews to the Educational AD Podcast YouTube channel. And we do this just about every day. We try to share stories and best practices from the world of athletics. So please come back and join us again on the next episode of the Educational AD Podcast. Hey, before we go, of course, we want to give a shout out to our great sponsors that make this happen. Please go and visit these sponsors. You should have them working for you. We want to thank Hometown. You can find them at hometown.com. Sideline Interactive Indoor Score Tables and Video Boards, sidelineinteractive.com. Booster Hub, you'll find them at boosterhub.com. Athletic Surveys, find them at athleticsurveys.com. Huddle, guess what? Huddle.com. Home Campus, you'll find it at homecampus.com. Vital Signs Wall of Fame, just add a com and Gipper, gipper.com. Lastly, Ohio University and their online masters in athletic administration. Thanks again for listening. We'll see you next time on this special series on the Educational AD Podcast.